It's been over a month since restaurants and other businesses reopened with COVID-19 regulations in place. And while most places are following that protocol, some in North Alabama have to be investigated and even punished. Our Kelly Kennedy spoke with the Madison County Health Department to see how they are making sure those businesses are doing what they're supposed to.
From restaurants to tattoo shops, the pandemic has changed the way businesses have to do things. If you walk into a restaurant right now, one of the biggest changes you'll see is that people are no longer seated at tables right next to each other. And that's just one of the new requirements inspectors are looking out for.
If you have one group of people sitting at one table and another group of people sitting at a table adjacent to them, there has to be 6 feet of space between the groups of people.
It's also required for restaurant employees to wear face masks when interacting with the public. Yet the Huntsville Madison County Health Department says the most common complaint they're getting right now is workers not wearing masks. But there is one misconception.
They think that the employees, like if they're just back in the kitchen, have to wear masks. And that is currently not a requirement of the order. Now, the owner of a business may require that of their employees, but it's not a requirement of the state, at this time.
When people put in a complaint, they say that business is looked into within 2 business days. The health department has already done several investigations and has had to suspend some permits to operate.
They can have their permit reinstated once they write a corrective plan of how they're going to address the violations, enact their plan, and then the inspector verifies that they're following the plan and that there are no more violations. Then we reinstate their permit.
If you do see that a business is violating COVID-19 regulations, you can make a complaint. For that number, just head to rocketcitynow.com. Putting the Valley first, Kelly Kennedy, WZDX News.